Hey everybody, it's Helen Hillix, intuitive counselor, spiritual coach, talking to you today about loyalty. And I did a post about this, I don't know, last week maybe, visual post, and I got a lot of feedback about how interested people were in, hey Jera, so happy to have you. We're talking about loyalty today. I love you too. What is loyalty, and is it a good thing? I think generally we think of loyalty as being a really upstanding, really great thing. But there's a problem with it. And I looked up the definition of loyalty before I started the show just to make sure that I kind of understood the energy behind the word. And they used words like allegiance, fealty, fidelity, obedience. And, all of those words actually did pick up the energy that I feel when I hear the word loyalty. And that is that we owe it to somebody. That somebody says we owe our loyalty to someone, that we're obliged to be loyal. And that can be loyal to a person, it can be loyal to a belief system, it can be loyal to a political party. It can be even loyal to a place you live, believe it or not. I feel loyal to my home, like this is the place that I'm supposed to live, partly because my family lives here. And of course, this brings up one of the main reasons that we don't evaluate our loyalty is because we're terrified of being thrown out of the tribe. So we just go along with it. If you were raised by Republicans, you're probably going to be a Republican and you feel loyal to that party. And you do not evaluate whether that really goes along with your inner belief system. Hi, Nobrega. Welcome. We're talking about loyalty and the fact that we were raised to believe it was a really wonderful quality. And yet, what is it really? It's allegiance and obedience to a certain person, place, thing, idea, concept, group, without really evaluating whether it's good for you. I have had a client, actually I've had several clients, but one comes to mind that was raised in a certain religious belief that she didn't really even believe in anymore, but she kept going. Religiously, she kept going every Sunday to those services, even though the values that were espoused there were not really her values anymore. But she felt loyal to that church, and because her family was there. Hey, Richard, we're talking about loyalty, and telling a story about a client that I've had who didn't want to quit her church because she felt loyal to it, even though she didn't really believe in what it stood for anymore. So, and I know that some of you watching probably have had that same experience of being raised in one kind of religious belief or raised without a religious belief and feel like you're doing something wrong if you decide to embrace a religious belief. It's the same thing. Then you're being loyal to your parents who might be atheists. But the problem is you often replace that loyalty with the loyalty to a church and think you have to believe everything that they stand for. And I'm here today to talk about loyalty because I think it's something that gets us into big trouble because we end up staying in relationships. If you have ever had this happen, I want you to say yes in the comments. If you have ever been loyal to a love relationship, even though you knew it wasn't working, but you either married the person or you committed to the person or whatever, and that's the end of it. You've made that decision and you're going to be loyal. And so I want you to put a yes in the comments if that's happened to you. I know it's happened to me, and I know it's happened to millions of other people too. Richard says yes. Jera says, oh, hell yes. And that is it, Jared. I'm with you. Oh, hell yes. I have been loyal to people, and I knew that this was absolutely not working for me, but I did not want to be seen as fickle or disloyal or unfaithful or whatever the words are that we slam on people when they change their minds about where they belong. We get stuck being loyal to a job. I mean, that is totally also, people work someplace because their boss tells them, oh, I don't know what I would do without you. And so they feel like they have to be loyal to that person, to that job, even though the job is not serving them anymore in any way. So it's seen as quite a rebellious thing for us to be disloyal. And it's like just the words that are used just blow my mind. They're so manipulative. And this goes back to, hundreds, thousands of years really of humans shaming one another to try to control them. And the whole word loyal is one of those words that if you are not loyal, then you should be ashamed of yourself. You have left your mother church, or you have left your poor boyfriend or husband or job, or, you're not going to move away from here, are you? And, be disloyal to your friends. Or you're not going to leave the Democratic Party and become an independent, are you? Or leave the Republican Party and become a libertarian, or, whatever. It's like it's some big sin or something if you change and evaluate, really take the time to evaluate. So that's the healing part of this talk is let's stop and take a pause. And let's use our consciousness to make our choices instead of loyalty. What a novel idea. But it's so helpful to evaluate everything. Do you live in the right place? Are you with the right person? Does that person support your evolution? Do they stand for your growth, even when it's inconvenient for them? That's love. That's a supportive person. Jara says, sometimes I see that we are often loyal to our habits and use that as an excuse to not better ourselves. I love that. That was one of the things I had written in my notes, Jara. Thank you for triggering that thought, that we can become loyal to caffeine. We can become loyal to sugar. We can become loyal to being a couch potato. We can become loyal to drug addiction and hanging out with people that are not good for us. All of those habits that really stick us in a certain place. And I know that addictions are a chemical addiction. I totally understand that. But I'm with you, Jara, that we get stuck in habits. Pornography is a very, very destructive habit that people become loyal to in their minds. It's a mindset that you have that, you can't give up this thing. You've developed a loyalty to it, and it is killing you. So I'm so glad you brought that up. And again, we have to confront the fear that we're going to get kicked out of the tribe, that our drinking buddies are, what are we going to do without our drinking buddies? What are we going to do if we leave this man or this woman or whatever, these friends? What are we going to do? We're going to be alone. What are we going to do if we disappoint our parents and make a choice to be an artist rather than a doctor? Crazy, but it's true. People do it all the time. I have a client who's a doctor, and she did not want to be a doctor. She wanted to be a musician, but her parents wanted her to be a doctor, so she became a doctor. And, now she's trying to blend the two, but it's hard. So it's like all of these loyalties that really keep us stuck can show up in so many forms, but we're afraid of changing them because we're afraid of getting kicked out of the tribe. So let's band together, the ones of us who are willing to examine our loyalties and to discard the ones that don't serve us. If all of humanity would do that, we would be getting rid of so many ideas, the whole idea that everybody is capable, equally capable. There are just so many ideas that are keeping down humanity, so many mistaken beliefs that we become loyal to. And I don't want to get off into that right now, but that causes a great deal of pain in humanity. And if we would all band together and all of us decide that we're going to be conscious about our choices and what really serves us, what really lifts us up. Richard says, my drinking buddies, the loyalty to alcohol was our bond. Absolutely. And so many times the bond that you have with somebody and the loyalty that you have with them is not even based on anything that you would value if you stopped and thought about it for a moment. So it takes courage and it takes a lot of support, whether it's from a counselor like myself, or it's from, a spiritual guide, or it's from, your best buddies or whomever. It takes a lot of support to challenge those deeply held loyalties. But it is so worth it. And we have to have faith, don't we? We have to have faith that on the other side of that, we're going to find like-minded people, and we're going to have a new tribe. We may not have the old tribe, but we're going to have a new tribe. And you also might be surprised at how many people do not turn their back on you when you change your affiliations, or you may not even have any new affiliations. You just don't have that old affiliation. But you might be surprised at how many people will still love you and support you. And you'll be touched by that. Your willingness to break out of the Catholic Church or the Muslim religion, or being a Democrat, or being married, or whatever it is, or quitting that job. You might be surprised at how many people will say, you know what, I went through that too, or I've been thinking of doing that too, or I did do that too. So risk it, risk it, risk it, risk it. It sounds like brisket. Anyway, risk it. Take it on. Bring your consciousness to bear on all the decisions of your life. Are you in the right job? Are you in the right relationship? Do you live in the right place? I have a friend from years ago who used an astrologer to ask her where in the world, they happen to be independently wealthy, where in the world can I live that will best support me? And they moved, 1,500 miles to a completely different place with a completely different climate. And they are thriving there. It really worked for them because they gave up their loyalty to being in a certain area because their family was, or because they had grown up there. So risk breaking out of all those loyalties. They're just artificial connections. And replace them with consciousness. Replace them with thoughtfulness, with getting spiritual guidance, with praying and meditating about it, with, like I was saying, getting counseling support about why I'm so afraid to stop this or that. But it's so worth it, because you know what? You may be afraid of losing your tribe if you break your loyalty, but you know who you're losing if you don't examine all those things is you're losing yourself. You are losing yourself, because you are nothing but a composite of a bunch of beliefs that other people have told you to believe in. And it's not you. It's not you. It's not the unique expression of the oneness that you are, until you examine all those loyalties and decide which affiliations, which beliefs really serve you, support you, and support your evolution. So I'm here to support you, to offer you my love and my experience. I'm Helen Hillix, intuitive counselor and spiritual coach. From my heart to yours, I love you. Thank you guys so much for joining today. I love you too, Jera. Mwah. Thank you so much for hopping on, and share this out if you think it can be helpful to other people, because I know many of us have problems with loyalty. And I want to show this beautiful painting that my daughter Rebecca made for me of my logo. And now it has become the backdrop of all my talks, and I just love it so much. So thank you guys, and I will talk to you soon.